The video discussion board number 3 for Anthropology 205. This is regarding India's Lost Girls, the YouTube video that we saw for this part of our this week's lesson. And it's talking about the practice of female sexual selection, gender selection in human families in the country of India. So the first question, after viewing this film, the first question we were to answer was, why is sexual preference or gender preference a significant social issue in India? Why are sons preferred over daughters in India? And that's kind of a easy to answer but complicated question, because it boils down basically is money, but I get the feeling that money is not so much the issue, which their economy increase and prosperity of their economy in the last 20 years or so is showing that it's really more a matter of people want boys. It's their society's mentality, because they feel boys can add to the family where a girl takes from the family. They're very family-oriented people, nuclear family with a mom and dad, and then children, preferably male children. One reason is they do carry on the male name, the family name, and also they are historically, I guess, the ones who care for the elderly in their old age, their parents. And also money comes into play in the fact that they still use the practice of dowry, which is a financial amount that the families have to come up with and offer a groom in order for their daughters to be married. Even though it was banned 50 years ago, it is still practiced. That ban is not enforced in the country of India, and that apparently can be quite a lot, from anywhere from $20,000 to several $100,000. So for that reason, girls are not wanted to this day. What happens? Second question is, what happens to children who have been abandoned and who are found alive? One of the things that India has established in order to take care of this crisis is the fact they have hundreds of orphanage-like homes throughout the country, where they are primarily the inhabitants are primarily girls. They take in mostly girls. They do take in anyone, preferably that don't have families, that are actual orphans. But many families, it's not against the law to abandon girls in India. So a lot of the girls do end up in these orphanages, which is what the focus of the film is. What are the risks that children face after abandonment? Of course, they can die. They can also be sold into human trafficking rings and everything. And they're cared for, provided, and protected by these group homes. Orphanages, similar to what we consider orphanages. Many families, which has turned out to be quite a good thing, many families continue to have children when girls are born instead of males. And why is that problematic for the immediate family? And socio-culturally, what is challenged about having too many daughters in one family? Again, it boils down to what they consider money. Money in the fact that they have to provide the dowry, so they have to be quite wealthy. Many go into have tremendous financial burdens. It's not a prosperous country yet, even though it is made tremendous strides in the last 20 or 30 years. And also because the boys do carry on the family name and historically continue to take care of the elderly. That is basically their obsession to having a son. It is a status symbol of sorts. The expectations that only a son can fulfill, they carry on the wealth. The families that have become wealthy through industry or Bollywood or some other sector of the economy, they have to have them, or they feel they have to have them in order to continue their empires, to continue the establishment of the family's wealth and prosperity, as well as to carry on the name and to care for the elderly parents. The increased availability of medical technology now influences and impacts the distribution of male and female babies. The advent and proliferation of the ultrasound machine in India is what has resulted in huge gender disparities in various parts or most parts of India. some more so in others, because the families can now find out what the sex of their baby is upon pregnancy. Abortion is legal in India up to 20 weeks. Even though abortion for the sheer sake of sex selection is illegal, unfortunately it has not stopped them from obtaining abortions. And so the ultrasound, which is, they said there are many in every single town, it's quite a huge business. And so that has resulted in people, of course, knowing the sex of their baby prior to the birth, and the abortions have increased dramatically. What happens to Orissa, also known as Odisha, in 2007, which was a town that made for tragic national news. One of these private ultrasound clinics, they found in their well apparently dozens of female fetuses. They had been not only telling the parents what it is, but offering the abortions. So their well on their property was found to contain dozens of female fetuses. They went to a house that was also owned by this ultrasound clinic, where they found literally dozens of almost full-term female children who had been aborted and who did not survive. Needless to say, it sparked off national riots. It became an international incident, and the protest was aimed at changing the country of India so that their attitude began to reflect the sanctity of the mother-child bond, even when the child was a girl. And so that's what happened there in 2007. The purpose of the Rocky Festival is, which was celebrated in the home, the Artie Foundation home, which is what was featured in the film, is a celebration of siblings, the brothers and sisters. The girls give the boys I think it was a bracelet, in order to remind them to take care of their sisters, so that care for the male caring for the female is found not only in the parent-child, but also in the sibling relationship. The greatest disparity in births between boys and girls is actually now found in the middle class because of the new prosperity. The families, instead of saying, oh, well, we now have the money to provide dowry and to educate and everything, they continue with that mentality. And so they unfortunately have the funds and the wherewithal to have the sex selection abortions. And so there's quite a disparity between boys and girls, in so much that it's in some areas there's, for every 800 girls, there's 1,000 boys, and so they're having problems finding suitable wives for some of their males. It's not uncommon for whole towns to have single males that will never be married because of this disparity. Yet they continue to not want girls. With a marked difference in numbers of females versus males in society, what impact will that have on continuing a parent's patrilineage? Well, they won't have the name, but also if they can't have wives, they can't have children. And so they won't have the potential of having that family name continued, which is why it doesn't make a lot of sense. Sanya Puchapalli from the Artie House believes the necessary solution, because she has such a deep regard for the mother-child relationship, and knows that even though she provides tremendous resources and services for the girls in her care, she can never replace that mother-child bond. So the necessary solution, according to her belief system, is that there does need to be a fundamental shift in the attitude of people in India, which, as we all know, it's easy to say, but very difficult to do. So I hope they continue to work on that. And that is